Hello, fellow Redbirds. Welcome to Bird Fans Forever, podcast number 64. If you've been a fan of the podcast and like our videos, a good way to support the channel is to like our videos and slam dunk the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, Bird Fans Forever, with the number 4. Also, go follow us on our @BirdFansForever Twitter account to be notified of our latest podcast videos, and visit our website, www.birdfansforever.com, where you can find a list of our previous podcasts. Bird Fans Forever would like to shout out to our men's basketball team who won the CBI tournament last week, and another shout out to our women's basketball team who won their round of 8 WNIT matchup against Louisiana Tech. We're really enjoying our extended basketball season, and let's lean into that for next year. We're looking forward to learning more about our Redbird men's basketball NIL effort with the 1998 club. Two episodes ago, we had representatives from the Empower the Nest collective, and this episode, we get to talk about the men's basketball effort. Please welcome Jay McGee and Michael Rigsby from the 1998 club. Go visit their website, empowerthenest.com/1998-club.
Hello and welcome to Bird Fans Forever, episode 64, with the 1998 club for the NIL for men's basketball. We have Jay McGee and Michael Rigsby. Hi, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How you doing
Doing
tonight?
good.
This is awesome. So we always start with how'd you get to ISU? Jay, even though you and your wife went to Kent State, your wife now is a teacher or a professor at ISU.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the 1998 club? We'll go with that one, the first one.
Yeah, so, going back, like as you kind of alluded to, wife and I were student athletes at Kent State when Coach Peden was at Kent State coaching. So when he came to ISU, Leanna Bolden reached out to my wife Annie and was like, hey, do you know this guy? And she's like, oh, man, he used to run study tables at Kent when she was there as a student athlete. So she's like, yeah, so we connected with the Pedens pretty quickly. Obviously, I have a 13, 11-year-old with Maddox being 12. He's right between my two kids. We connected with the Pedens right away, and then as far as 1998 club, that probably took a year or more because this whole NIL thing was pretty new to us when they came. Trying to get it off the ground. I'm not a sitter and watcher, so if I feel like I could get involved and help in some capacity, I'm a doer. So that's pretty much what it came to be. I'm not a sit on the sidelines guy, so I want to jump in and help, and here we are.
Here we are. That's awesome. All right, Michael, you're up.
Yeah, I'm an alum. Graduated Illinois State in 2004, which is hard to believe. It's been 21 years ago already. Would be a journalism degree now, was a communications degree back in the day. Went through TV10, went through WZND, was a sports director at both the radio and TV stations for the great Deb Lesser and that crew back in the day at TV10 and WZND at Illinois State. So obviously, I'm born and raised in the Bloomington-Normal area, Colfax. I'm from a really small town, Colfax Ridgeview High School. Played for Coach Keller there for a long time. And moved back to Bloomington about 13 or 14 years ago now. And like I said, obviously graduated here in 2004. But I not only that, so obviously I have a passion for Illinois State as an alum, but I am also a crazy, when I say crazy, not like, oh, I really enjoy college basketball, but like to a psychotic level, love college basketball. It is easily, I run a motorsports company, and people always say, racing must be your favorite sport. Racing is like my 10th favorite sport. Like college basketball is without question my favorite sport. I have a rich history of my family following college basketball and loving college basketball. So when Coach Peden got hired, I kind of bumped into him at a place and just knew right away that he was somebody that I really believed in for the future of the program. And not to say that previous coaches were bad or anything like that, but given that I was an alum, given that I grew up going to Illinois State games in their heyday there in the late 90s with Rico and Kyle and Dan and those guys, and then meeting Coach Peden right at the time NIL started, much like Jay, I'm a doer. I go, I fly, I do. I don't like to sit on the sidelines. NIL is fascinating to me. I loved Coach Peden. I am an alum. You throw all of those ingredients into a stew, and we end up co-chairing the 1998 club together. Jay and I do a couple years later.
Do the two of you guys know each other before the 1998 club, or did the 1998 club bring you guys together?
Yeah.
No, I'd say 1998 club brought us together. I mean, we kind of got to know each other a little bit just through ISU basketball before we officially started the 1998 club. Yeah, I mean, the amount of texts that Michael and my wife Annie and I exchanged in a day, 100 texts a day maybe, I don't know. It's a lot, especially this time with the portal and everything else going on. So Yeah,
Yeah.
we've gotten to know each other very well.
I
Spent
kept
lots of
hearing
time.
about Jay McGee through mutual friends. Bloomington's a small place. Like, hey, this Jay McGee we have very similar personalities, right? Like, we are obsessive. I think I can say that, Jay, without it being offensive to either one of us, right? Very detail-oriented, very process-oriented. So when we met each other and we're like, man, we really need to get the collective off the ground. And it took him, I said, let me come to your office. And it was 1 3-hour whiteboarding session later, right? And we were off and running, and we've become very, very close.
So talk about that.
Jay's wife, Annie, real quick. Jay's wife, Annie, does an amazing. My wife, Amber, who we all adore, is like, I don't need anything to do with any of this. So she's on the sidelines, not wanting to touch any of this.
She's the smart one of the group, I guess.
Yeah, she's the smart one, right? Yeah.
So talk about that whiteboarding session that you guys started to plan up this whole 1998 club.
Jay, do you want to go, or I'll let you go first.
So this kind of how this came to be. I mean, 2 years prior to even starting that, Pete was at my house with the Kentucky Derby, and we'll having these conversations about NIL, and I'm like, man, I said, this community will support you, but you got to give to the community. Like, you got to go out, you got to create some relationships with people. So I started a group called Cocktails with Coach, and I hosted it at my office. We had probably 25, 30 business owners in the room, but really, my initial intention, honestly, was to create a community around Coach Pete, in that when the big schools came to try and take him away, it was hard for him because he had a whole network of people here that were friends.
Right.
And,
Right.
Just to build that support for him from that level. Because, I mean, leadership in general is lonely, but coaching, man, that's tough. You're away from your family a lot and all that. So that went on. We did a couple of those. They launched their Center Court Club, had mild success with that. It probably wasn't overly organized, so I wasn't involved with that. And then obviously Rigsby and I, like you said, we got together, had this whiteboard session. Peden was kind of talking to us. Again, huge fan and supporter and believer in Coach Peden and what he's doing with his program. And we were off and running, So I mean, we were like getting logos, putting together the donor guide. We were having more events, what we called like our road show, where we had a 40-page slide presentation, and we were hosting and just started fundraising money. Like, literally, it was like grassroots, organic, from the ground up. Rigsby loves to say we literally didn't even have a foundation. We have poured the foundation. Like we've started from absolute scratch. We didn't even have the lot yet picked out. So,
when you guys together, you whiteboard. When you come out of that, what's your vision then? What was it then, and what is it today?
I always like to look at it 2 ways: highest level and lowest level, right? And that's how I built my business. We were fortunate enough to sell my business, but my wife and I have a couple other businesses and endeavors as well. Highest vision is like, I want to be very clear about this. There's no reason this program can't be Gonzaga, period. End of story, right? I can make the case that in 1998, the last time that we went to the NCAA tournament, and the earliest, those Matt Santangelo, Dan Dickow days of Gonzaga, and the earliest parts of those, our program was probably in better shape than theirs was. They hadn't been to the tournament. We go in 98. It just so happens in 99, Gonzaga's starship takes off, right? And we've been stagnant since then. So at the highest level, Steve, we should be Gonzaga. We should shoot for nothing less than trying to be what Gonzaga has built. At the lowest level, as Jay very adeptly pointed out, we had nothing. We started with nothing on the collective side. Gonzaga didn't have to worry about NIL. We do now. Jay is the same way. Jay has built an incredibly successful insurance business in Bloomington, and we've both been lucky enough to be successful in business, but it's because we are so organized. And I was actually part of the early Center Court Club, which the Center Court Club was the athletic department and Coach Peden saying, hey, here's 10 guys, can you help us raise some money for NIL, right? And that was about it, where Jay and I realized that's not going to be good enough to compete in the current model of NIL. And that's no knock on Coach Peden. I'm a spreadsheet freak, right? And Jay and Annie make fun of me every day for it, and I'm okay with that. I can live with it because it's super important. But it was whiteboard, from the whiteboard to the spreadsheet. Here's a list of thousands of contacts in Bloomington. I want their name. I want their email address. I want their T-shirt size. I want all of that. I want that data all collected in one place. So the outreach program becomes easier and smoother, and then we can build a donor guide, what those donors get from the grassroots bottom up, right? Gonzaga on the biggest level, we got nothing on the smallest level, build the house, now we've poured the basement, we're starting to put the studs up, and we're really starting to see the things on that lowest level. Gonzaga can't happen without what Jay and I are doing at the most organic level with Annie as well.
Yeah, outreach is key, right? And I said this on the Empower the Nest. But one of the biggest assets ISU has is 239,000 living alumni.
Yeah.
Okay? it's probably much larger than Gonzaga. And it's how do you reach those alumni, right, and get them interested. And I think that's, if I was to say, that's the number one challenge and the number one thing that the Empower the Nest and everybody needs to do. I think that's it, right? And then once we get the word out, compared with the success we're starting to have with the different programs, we can attract people to donate, right, at all different levels.
It's a classic, and I'll go quick and then let Jay go. It's a classic chicken and egg thing, right? Though, which comes first, the donating or the winning, right? And we've kind of found those are coming together at the same time here now, right? The more winning, the more donating, right? So I think, and Steve, I'm not saying you're saying this, but everyone thinks it's easy. We have 1 million alumni and just reach out to them and they're going to give money, right? Boy, is that not the case. And Jay, I think you can speak to that. We wanted to keep our circle small in the beginning. Jay has an incredible business network in Bloomington, stronger than mine because my business was outside of town. And we've really leaned on Jay's relationships to start small and then inch it out, haven't we, Jay, from there? And that's starting to really work.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. I mean, I think that first year they maybe had 50 donors. Last year we collected 70. I think we had 71. This year, already for the 25-26 season, we've already got north of 120 donors, and that's at all different levels. So I mean, so you can just kind of see like that it's just like starting to just progress, and we see like the number, like what our budget has gone from, it's taking steps progressively as well. But yeah, it's a community lift, right? I mean, that's what we talk about. We don't have the T-Boone Pickens in our backyard that's like, how much do you need for this? We just don't have that alum that's just throwing millions of dollars at us to go out and build our roster. So we're literally going to friends and business owners and family members and anyone that wants to support it, and saying, hey, could you give $19.98 a month at the low? We'll take $20. Like at the end of the day, if that's what you could afford. Like, so we've tried to build this out to where it's like you don't have to be uber wealthy to make an impact. And with NIL, also, there's never been a time in college athletics history where like our fan base can actually make a direct impact. We're literally investing in the product that's going on the court. Like, no time in history have you been able to actually be a contributor or an investor in the team that's actually showing up on the court. And today we have that ability, through NIL and through raising funds and going out and trying to get the most talented players we can with the budget that we have.
And the one thing I would say too that Coach Peden's done is he's brought players in, okay, not just on the court but off the court, that make it more likable to do it, right? And we could roll back the clock, whether it's at ISU or we could look at other programs, and sometimes great basketball players don't translate to great human beings off the court, and I think he's doing both, and to me that matters too, right? I think it's easier to invest in those individuals when they perform both on and off the court.
Yeah, and you look at. Go ahead, Jay. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go. You look at record GPA 5 semesters in a row for the entire program. We're talking the history of Illinois State basketball, right? Record GPA 5 semesters in a row. An enormous amount of philanthropic work, philanthropy that these kids do. And Jay and I say this all the time. These are. I'm not just being. They're really good kids. Yeah. They're really good kids. I mean, you spend 20 minutes with Chase Walker, and he is the most lovable, affable, just amazing kid that you've ever spent time with. And you just want to bear hug him bottle him up because he's a unicorn, right, in the way he acts. And Dalton was the same way last year, and Johnny and Ty and Jack and their families. I wouldn't do this if I didn't believe in him and the kids he's bringing in. I wouldn't, right? I've been in Bloomington for 14 years, and I've never really – now, there's not been NIL, but I've not been a donor before. I've not gone to this lengths to help the program before. There's something incredibly unique about the group of people that are in the locker room now, and that starts at the top. That starts with him and his staff at the top, Jay. And you and I think Annie feel the exact same way.
Oh, I mean, we feel like these kids are our own kids, really. I mean – some of these kids, we have these kids, Ty, Johnny, Chase, at our house for dinner. I mean, Ty babysits my kids at times, over the summer. So these kids, we really adopted them all, and they made it really easy. This is like a passion project. Before you guys started, obviously, I told you I was a college wrestler, so I'm not a basketball guy. Like, you want to talk X's and O's, talk the psychotic fan of Michael Rigsby. You go talk that with him. Like, I'm a a supporter of people, that I believe in. I mean, so diehard Ohio State fan, and one of my college friends went and coached at Michigan, and I was cheering for Michigan because I believed in him and I wanted to see him. And I would never admit that, so if you could edit that out, that'd be good. But I'm just a supporter of people and the caliber of young men, coaches recruiting in, the staff he has on. And again, like Michael said, from the top. It starts at Peden and it just trickles its way down. And it's a pretty consistent theme. Every kid that we sit down and talk to and get to know, they all just super high character kids.
So the season just ended on a very, very high note. CBI champions, which is always wonderful to take that pictures and other hardware around and show it off to potential donors, right? But I assume now this season, and this is probably the pinnacle and the busiest time of the year for you guys. Just tell us what's happening right now and how we can help you guys.
I wasn't expecting you to say how we can help you guys. Man, there is. I need you to move to Bloomington right now and get in the bunker with us. Is what I need. All right. Okay, I need you in the bunker right now.
We could throw some long-range missiles from Naperville, but
I'll go first, and then I'll let Jay go. And I want everybody to keep in mind too. And this is not. I'm not saying this for a selfish reason at all, nor is Jay. But Jay and I both have other successful companies that we run and operate, right? And Jay and I both have multiple. Jay has kids in sports, and I own a racetrack here in Illinois on top of the business that I operate. So I say all of that to say, our plates are already very full. So really the busiest time for us, Steve, not even the moment the season ends, right about the time the Valley tournament starts, right? All the way through when the portal closes on April 22nd this year. Thank goodness they moved it up. It was May 1st last year. Yep. It is easily the most chaotic time for a collective by far. You've spent probably, Jay, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, you really start talking about fundraising in late January with people again, because you got to give them a little bit of a break, right? You don't want to hammer them forever. That late January all the way through February, you really ramp it up. So you kind of know by the time you get to the Valley tournament, where are we on fundraising as we head into the portal? And I've been around race cars that go 160 mile an hour. I have built a business from the ground up and slept in a minivan when I started I say all of that to say this is the most chaotic crap I've ever been a part of in my entire life, by far. It's not even close. And I don't use crap in a negative sense, but it's wild, man. This stuff's wild. The transfer portal, the money, and I am very pro kids getting paid. I want to be very clear about that. I wish there was a few more guardrails from the NCAA on how it was happening, but it is chaos, Steve. And when I tell you, Jay will back this up, it is a roller coaster of emotions. One day to the next, 3 days during the transfer portal time feels like 3 years of your life gone. And you get a text message and a rumor, and you hear this and you hear that, and you're raising money. And can we get more money here? And Jay, back me up here. It's wild once the portal opens. It's crazy.
It's the Wild West is what it is. I mean, with teams, and even the guys that have committed back telling us, oh man, these coaches have been reaching out to me the last 2 months, which is illegal, but that's what's happening. These coaches are reaching out, making absolutely high six-figure offers to our players in season. They're getting ready for the biggest game of the year, and they're getting text messages from other programs saying, hey, we'd pay you this to come here and play for us. So that's when it goes back to the culture and everything that Coach Peden's building to keep these guys here, which we've had a pretty high level of success doing. But yeah, it's this week it's been, multiple hours a day for us. We're basically sitting in these meetings with these players and talking about what your plans for next year and trying to get a budget together and make them offers to stay. And so that's kind of what the behind the scenes has been like. We've sat down with almost every player to this point and the families that they're included and what that looks like. But yeah, on the front end, we try to fill the coffers because it's kind of hard to go make offers to these kids, what we can pay them without having a general idea. So we've been making a lot of asks of people that donated last year to say, hey, are you in or not? I don't need a check today. I don't need that, till this summer or fall, but can we count on you? And if so, at what level? Which leads us into the donor guide, that we've created and put out there that will lay it out. If you want to donate $19.98 a month, here's what you're entitled to. If you want to donate $5,000 a month, here. You want to come to a cookout at Coach Peden's house? Last year we catered in bandanas, and we probably had 10 or 15 people over there. The whole team's there. So that's probably the biggest thing we've heard from our donor base, too, is we want access. We want behind-the-scenes stuff. We want that. Right. So as we built the plane as we were flying this year, we feel like we did a pretty good job, and we've got the foundation laid now. So this year we hope will just be that much smoother. But yeah, this year has basically been building it as it's flying through the air, and it's time consuming to say the least. I'm thankful that my wife is on board. She runs all our social media channels, so anything that comes out from 1998 Club on social media, Annie McGee's behind that. She's putting that stuff out there. We had our own photos taken, so some exclusive stuff, so we could pump out our own stuff a little bit, and we'll work on more on that next year. But yeah, it's a lift. It is a lift, and it's just the three of us really doing it on a day-to-day basis.
But one of the things you guys did this year too, just to give you some props, is you had all those experiences, right? And then you reached out to the donors who went through the experiences, and you got their feedback too, which is smart, right?
Yeah.
Find out what people liked, and keep the good stuff in, and perhaps change some of it too. So you guys it's dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And you're also not just asking for money, but you're also looking to make those experiences better and well received too.
Yeah, and
we're
I think
trying to always step up our game, and at the end of the day, we want people to, a lot of people have had a hard time about NIL. This money just goes to these athletes, so naturally people are like, what's in it for me? So we've, again, created our shameless shout-out there, 1998 Club gear. We've got our own logo. We've got our gear. So our donors, we mailed all that out, so we fulfilled that, which, again, was us ordering it, packing it, labeling it, mailing it ourselves. So it's, it's been a labor of love for sure.
It's us, literally, I'm in my basement studio, over here. It's me, Andy McGee, laying on the floor packaging apparel, right? 100 of envelopes lined up doing this. And the exclusivity, I think, is something we're going to lean more into as we get into year two. People want access to coach, and they want access to the players, and we can give them that, right? Through a certain level of donation, you get that access. And listen, people like exclusive, cool things, right? The hats and the gear are neat, but they want to know that, if you donate it, and I'm blanking on exactly the level, it's team practices at $1,000. You get $1,000 for the entire year. You can attend a lot of team practices. And let me be clear, this, these team practices are it's not Coach Pete and sugarcoating it. It's rebound the MF and ball. It's literally you're part of everything, right? Yeah. And, if your donor level's high enough, you get to take a plane ride with the team, charter to the game. You get to take a bus ride to Bradley. So we're really leaning in to that access. And something Jay touched on earlier that I think is so important is, for the first time ever in college athletics, is you want a better team, you can contribute to having a better team. Right. And there is power in that, right? Whether you think kids should get paid or not, I believe they should. There's so much power in that. I wish we had a better power forward. Great news. You can contribute to helping us do that, right? And I use power forward as a random example. I love our power forwards at Illinois State, so I don't want to get in trouble for that. But you can contribute directly to that, and there's something really cool about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and look, one of the things that, and I'll just tell my story. Last year, kept going back and forth. Should I donate? Should I not donate? And you guys know I did in the end. But part of it was, whatever, I'm older, right, and getting your head around it and the old rules, right, and the game's changed a lot. And, you see a whole bunch of things where we could talk about the bad things. We got these kids that, they're hopping from school to school to school, right, and it happens, right, and it'll happen with the ISU program. But and this is why I think it's important to think about what our coach is doing versus what other programs are doing. And this is where I got my head around it, was he's bringing in a different type of player, okay? And that to me made a difference, okay? And you can see it. Chase committed. We all know he probably had bigger offers out there, right? But we can't put our hands in our pockets and not come out with anything. Otherwise, zero is not the answer, okay? And we're not going to be Gonzaga yet, right, Michael? But we can aspire to that, and we can work. No, but look, you can aspire, okay? And look, if you don't aim high, you're never going to achieve your goals, okay? So so I appreciate, that we want to aim high. Okay, and we'll overachieve by aiming higher than settling for less. And I just think if you're on the fence, think about these players versus other programs, and you want these types of kids to stay at ISU. And that's where I got my head around it.
Well, Steve, and one of the things with that is, a lot of college programs, unless you're Cooper Flagg or those guys, like a lot of college programs are like, I don't really care about freshmen. I don't really need them. Don't really want them because there's, Chad Baker-Mazara from Auburn is 25, about to play in the Final Four, right? 23, 24. You guys know your development of your body from 18 to 23 is quite different, right? And the point I'm getting at with that is Coach P really, he's bringing in another great freshman class. He had his first class was Ty Pence, Chase Walker, and Johnny Kinzinger. Great. Last year was Jack and Cade. Great. This year, Tyreek and Mason and Isaac. Another really good freshman class. To your point, Steve, he still believes in that, right? There is some, there is something to that still. The development.
We got 2 Mr. Basketballs, okay? I think we had one in the previous 20-some years, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Skip. And it's just like 2 Mr. Basketballs and performing on and off the court. That's what I say, performing on and off the court. Not off the court only, okay, but both.
That's right.
And
he's really big on the person, the player, the student, and the athlete. He talks about flow dynamics in all these meetings. We talk about community involvement. Every parent that we've sat across the table with this week has basically said, Coach Peden, you have delivered on everything you said you would, and then some. Like, he doesn't blow smoke. He shoots these kids straight, which is kind of a lost thing in college athletics nowadays, it seems. He's as real as they come, and these kids appreciate it and respect. And that's why we could be in a position where potentially every kid on ISU's team comes back, which would be unheard of in today's.
Be the only team in Division I basketball, literally the only one.
Yeah. God, have you seen the portal? I mean, it's like.
Have I seen the portal?
Thousands of players. I mean, my wife and I keep running, and I got a little spreadsheet. Michael, you'd be proud of me.
I love it.
I got a spreadsheet, and I got the day and the percentage of kids in, and it's like 38% of the kids are already in the dang portal. There was already 24% of all, or was it 22% of all kids were in the portal before the portal even opened.
And then you got the ultimate, I think, happened today with Michi, right, who went South Carolina, Ohio State, South Carolina, Ohio State, South Carolina. He's now been at both schools twice. Which happened today, but he seemed, by all accounts, seems like an amazing kid. But that's like, if I had told you that 20 years ago, I'd be like, well, you're out of your mind, right?
Yeah.
You can't believe it. So it's a wild world out there. He's a great player too. Seems like a good kid. But I heard that today, and I was like, wow, that's different, So
one thing Michael talks about a lot that I would love to hit on is that ISU basketball is the thing in this community that could put us on the national scene. Like, football is 1AA. They do a phenomenal job. They will never go play a Duke basketball or something. They'll never be on the CBS, and no disrespect to them. They do a very good job. But I'm just saying, in this community, ISU basketball, I can't think of another singular thing that could actually put us on the national stage as quick as ISU basketball could.
Yeah, it's the thing. Garth Brooks is not doing concerts in Bloomington, right? And I love where I'm from and I love where I live. Garth Brooks isn't doing concerts, as Jay alluded to. Our football team's never going to play Alabama in a meaningful game that's not a bye game or something like that, right? Our basketball program could share the floor on CBS national television with Kentucky, Duke, or Arizona in a game that actually mattered. And if we're winning 25 or 30 games every year, and that would get us ranked, that matters nationally. Again, Jay and I both have immense respect for Brock and the football program, but there's something extra special about this basketball program that nothing else in Bloomington can touch from an activities, recreational standpoint. It is and can be the thing in this town. And those days, I remember those days of Redbird Arena being full. And my dad still tells stories about Horton Fieldhouse with Larry Bird being full. And it's, I want that so bad. And that's why we are crazily spending so much time on this.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, right? And that's why we're having you on, and it's the same reason we do the podcast. We don't do the podcast. We don't make any money at this. In fact, our wives have banned us from spending any more money on the podcast. And yeah.
But it can go beyond Bloomington Normal, too. There's a huge, but this is important, okay? I agree that it's got to start in Bloomington Normal. Right, and it's got to spread from there. We got a huge fan base and alumni base in Chicago. Okay, that's what one of our biggest assets too that we need to tap into, long term. Okay, and one of the best things that happened this past week is like we used to be, on WGN News and stuff like that. Illinois State was all the time, and we won the CBI. All of a sudden, hey, we're back on. We made the news. No, I'm serious. And then the women's program yesterday, when they won, going to the Final Four, the WNIT, all of a sudden we're back on, and we're becoming relevant again, in the Chicago media too. And we'll get picked up, on the sports radio and stuff like that. So I agree, it starts in Bloomington normal, but it's got to expand beyond that. It's throwing stone in the pond and watching the ripples go.
It sounds like Steve has officially become our Chicago ambassador. We'll be hosting regular, recurring meetings for the 1998 club as our Northern Division office. Steve, is that what I'm hearing?
Look at this!
There we go.
Done and done. Look at this.
All right.
There we go.
But we do need to tap into this fan base.
I agree.
Here,
Yep.
100%. Yep.
And we will with you, Steve. With you, we will. We will with you. So
we'll have a big UIC. We'll take it over even more than next year, and maybe we'll have.
Right, we talked about donations, so there's nothing too big or too small.
Right. And I'll let Jay touch on the multiple donor levels real quick here. But before he gets to that, one thing I wanted to point out is we have a $19.98 per month subscription, right? And the subscription model is not new in America right now. Everybody from Netflix to Walmart groceries you can do subscriptions for. But I think some people do wonder, like, how does that help you at all? I've had people ask me that before, right? How does $19.98 help you a month, right? Just quick math on that to kind of illustrate the power of it. So $19.98 a month. Let's say we were able to get to the point where we just had 300, and 300 feels like a relatively modest number, right? I would love for that to be 3,000 one day. University of Tennessee has done an amazing job with their subscription model. They were the forebearers of it, and they've done a great job. So say we just had 300, right? 300 monthly subscriptions at $19.98 a month, of which they're going to get even more content and more perks for being a monthly subscriber. That's $6,000 a month. Well, at 12 months times $6,000 a month, that's $72,000 into the collective a year at 300 subscribers. So you take that small number, multiply it by just a little bit bigger number of subscribers, and then multiply that by your monthly value. And I can tell you that $72,000 a month, or $72,000, I wish a month, a year, excuse me, $72,000 a year, getting a little ahead of myself. That's a big number for our collective, right? One day this does need to be $1 million collective. We're not there yet, but $72,000 a month allows for retention and baseline budget, and just would mean the world to us. So I want people to hear this now when they're thinking, man, I don't have a lot to give, but at $19.98 a month, or a little over $200 a year, is paramount. And I have people out there helping me hustle those monthly subscriptions, and we're really starting to grow that program. And Jay can go over the donor guide level now, but I always want you to remember, nothing too small doesn't matter, because those small things in a big number matters a lot for ISU.
Right.
Yeah, and real quick before I jump into those levels, also worth mentioning, like, we do have some small expenses like gear. Obviously, we have expense on that. Some of our events, like we have the Ball on Buford, we had a party at Fiala Brothers, and it was open bar and appetizers for every 1998 club member before that. So we do have some expenses, but we run so lean. Like, Michael and I take $0, right? We actually contribute. This costs us money and time doing this, right? But with that, like, every dollar raised that isn't going towards some give back gear to donors is going to our student athletes. Right, so that's something to keep in mind. We run as lean as absolutely possible. But so, I mean, you started that 1998 a month. We have a 1998 club hat. We had an exclusive team photo. We had Kendra Pence. She has a photography business. She came in and took photos of the team for us that only 1998 club used. So if you check out our social feeds, you'll see those sprinkled in throughout the year. Obviously, the Bowling on Buford party that I talked about. So even at $19.98 a month, you could come to Fiala Brothers, open bar appetizers at Fiala Brothers for 2 hours before Bowling on Buford. You could drink your money's worth if you really were that hell bent on it, at that event alone. And then obviously you start getting into gear. Then it goes up to 500, where we throw in some more gear. 1,000, you start opening up team practices and things of that nature. 2,500, we have a cocktails with coach event where We've held it in the Legends Room. We've held it in Aaron Leach Club, where we come in, we provide all the alcohol, some small apps. Some of the team, whoever can make it, comes. Coaches are there, and it's just like sit and chat. It's that exclusivity where you're getting to have conversations with coach and players, and it's just organic conversation. It's not real salesy, pitchy, or anything like that. You start getting into like 5,000. You get to actually go to coach's house this year. The night before the Bradley game, he had a film session in the theater room at his house. So donors at that level went to coach's house. They were in his house and having that film session. We also in the fall and August this past year, we had a cookout at his house. I was talking about earlier, where we catered in bandanas and the whole team came. So you get the whole team's there, the whole coaching staff, every donor 5,000 and up gets to be there, invited to that. It jumps up then to 10,000. Where you get to actually do pregame access. You get on the floor with the team. You're in the locker room with the team. You stand out there for the national anthem. You get a game day shout out on social media if you want it. Some people don't want to be acknowledged, and that's okay. We respect their anonymity, but for those that don't mind us sharing, then we do. That was some feedback. Like people were like, "Hey, we'd love to know who all's in here," and it's like some people don't want us to share, some people do. So we got to be sensitive to that. You get up to 15,000. Dinner with the coaching staff, which we're going to have, probably here in the next week or two for this year's donor level, and a bus trip to Bradley. Like, we're going to rent a bus, and we're going to take anyone that's in that donor group over to Bradley for the game. And then you get up north of that, 20,000, and you get to actually charter a flight with the team. So we tried to build it in to, like, make people feel like they're getting some value for their donation on top of supporting the NIL initiative. Well, there's some exclusive stuff that no one else is getting access to.
And I've seen other collectives around the valley. Our stuff's better. There, I said it. I said it. And I've also started to see some other collectives copy what Jay and I have built out the last couple of years. No hard feelings. I just want people to know that our stuff's better than their stuff, and Jay and I did it first. So I just want people to know that. So I'm looking at you, Northern Iowa. I don't know if it's Northern Iowa. I'm just saying. I have no idea at all. I have no idea at all. So.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being on. We really appreciate it. This has been awesome. This has been episode 64 of Bird Fans Forever with the 1998 club, Michael Rigsby and Jay McGee. Jon, hit it.
Thanks, guys.